This is the beautiful apophyllite that I stumbled across a few months ago when I went on a major crystal shopping binge. And this one particularly stuck out to me because it kind of looked like quartz, but it's not, you know? And this particular piece was only like $18. And it's a really good size actually, for 18 bucks, which I also got from Heaven's Sake out here in Colorado. But the one thing that I really liked about this stone, as soon as I held it in my hand, I felt a rush of energy just go straight to my head. And I typically notice this with a lot of stones, like if they're legit, if they're authentic, I can feel the energy just shoot straight into my head. But it was a little bit different with this particular one. And while doing semen retention, like working with crystals, it just takes the game to a whole nother level. And I'm also wearing 300 grams of Moldavite on me right now. I bumped it up from 150 to 300, using a lot of grounding stones as well to keep me balanced. But with this pair, particularly with Apophyllite, there's a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat that were way different from any other crystal that I had actually worked with. And one of them was that I felt this urge to like just go and be out in nature and stand under a tree, like just really be around trees. Like I just wanted to absorb the tree energy. And I did that, right? I walked into like this forest area, stood underneath a tree, and I paid attention to how my mental thoughts, my mental energy shifted when I was underneath the tree versus when I wasn't. And in my personal experience, when I was sitting underneath the tree, had a apophyllite in my hand, it was like all these emotions that were surfacing up into my mental space were being cleared out immediately. Or I was realizing what was coming up and what needed to be released. And so for me, that's a great tool. Since I like working on myself, I like, doing the work, the internal work to become the best version of myself. Although ultimately it's just returning back to, that pure divine energy. And it's funny though, because when I also wore it, I noticed really strange reactions from people, and they weren't bad. They were like all really positive, all really good. And I would walk into a room, or I would walk, off the elevator, and anybody who saw me, even if it was just a glimpse, right? Even if they just were walking past me, it's almost like they walked into my presence, and they would smile, right? They'd be like, oh wow, like that feels good, you know? And I was getting a lot of smiles from people, like everywhere I went. And like, of course, when I'm out and about in public, like I just keep to myself. And that's something that I've noticed, that the more I do semen retention, like I'm just focused, right? I don't care about what's going on around me. I'm just like in the zone. I got something to do. I always have something to do. So I'm always focused, right? And so, but I can still feel, or I used to be able to feel when people would like stare at me. But now I don't, even just these past 2 days, I've gotten to the point where I don't even care. But 2 days ago, when I was still like actively working with this crystal, I could feel when people were looking at me, checking me out, like, oh my gosh, like this guy's presence is like intense, right? And I'll give you a specific example, because I went to Home Depot the other day, and I got these blackout curtains that you see in the back. Of course, I have them up right now, but if you work overnights, it's definitely it's a game changer, because you'll sleep like a baby. But anyways, I went to Home Depot to get those blackout curtains, and when I walked in, first of all, the energy felt dead, right? As soon as I walk in, it's like my presence rearranged the whole atmosphere. Like people caught the presence, right? And I had this on me, and of course I had 300 grams of Moldavite, so maybe that had something to do with it as well. And as soon as I walk up, it's like all the women there that were working the front line, to where I just go pick up my package, they all like flipped, like a light switch just went on, right? They're like, oh my gosh, welcome, sir. Like all this like great customer service, right? Like, how can we help you? And like, as soon as that happened, like everyone on their team just put a smile on, right? As soon as I walked in. And they gave me the best customer service. They checked me out fast, gave me my stuff pretty much, you know, like right then and there. And so that was like a really eye-opening experience. And of course, I've actually done this before in other rooms, but particularly wearing Apophyllite, this, I don't know why this particular, you know, crystal seems to like make people happy when I'm like around them versus like other crystals. You know, other crystals, like it'll either bring up emotions about them, like I become a mirror to them, like, you know, or they get jealous or they get envious. But this one particularly, in my experience, it literally makes people happy. Like people are just like, you know, like what is that? And another thing I noticed too is like for some reason it sharpens my eyes. And what I mean by that, it like focuses my eyes like, I believe it's Gambit from like X-Men. Like, you know, when he would take his shades off and like beams of fucking like lasers would just shoot out. Like that's what it literally feels like when I wear this. Like I'll be looking at like something and like all of a sudden it's like everyone migrates to that area. Like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. So like, for example, like when I'm at work and I'm sitting in the patrol car and I'm looking right in one direction, everyone seems to go to that specific spot that I'm staring at. And then if I switch my vision and I look somewhere else, then everyone goes to that direction. And it's just crazy. Even animals do this, even birds. Like I could be looking somewhere just so focused, and like birds and animals and dogs and people just want to gravitate to that specific spot. And not entirely sure why that happens, but for some reason that does happen when I'm wearing Apophyllite. It just really like focuses my energy into my eyes if I'm like staring at something long enough. And so it's just something cool to like know, you know. But other than that, I mean, I really love the energy, especially when I meditate with it. Like I feel like I have very pleasurable energy inside my mental space, and it just feels really good. So if this particular, you know, stone calls out to you, check out maybe your local shop near you or Etsy or something and see where you can grab one. Like I said, I paid like 18 bucks for this, so it's a pretty good deal. But other than that, guys, hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Peace.